I want you to picture a scene. It's 2008, inside the headquarters of a presidential campaign. The energy is frantic, the stakes couldn't be higher, but something just isn't working. The slogans on the posters, they feel weak, the message isn't quite landing.
Right.
Then a designer pulls up a new mock-up on the screen. The words are exactly the same, hope, change, but the font is different. It's called Gotham.
Gotham.
Yes. Suddenly the room goes quiet. The letters are simple, strong, incredibly clear. They feel authoritative, yet optimistic.
A really specific feeling.
In that moment, everyone knows. This is it. This is the voice. What's fascinating is that this font, which would go on to define an entire political era and later be used by everyone from Netflix to Spotify.
That's everywhere now.
It wasn't created by some massive ad agency or a team of strategists. It was made by one guy.
Just one person.
A single designer who, by crafting one set of letters, created a piece of intellectual property so powerful it would quietly earn him millions for decades to come, every single time it was used.
Wow.
And what's even more interesting is that this isn't some miracle, it's a blueprint. Welcome to this deep dive, where we're pulling back the curtain on the silent yet incredibly powerful world of typefaces. We're talking about the art, the business, and the surprising legal battles behind the letters you see every single day.
We're going to explore how these seemingly simple characters are actually complex pieces of intellectual property, capable of generating significant wealth, shaping our culture, and now even being redefined by artificial intelligence. Get ready to, maybe have your mind blown by what a bunch of letters can really do.
Let's kick things off with a story that perfectly illustrates just how high the stakes can be in the world of type intellectual property. This isn't just about pretty letters, right? It's about livelihoods and sometimes the legal fight to protect them.
Definitely.
I came across this story online about a young graphic designer in London named Anya. For her final university project, she poured months into creating a typeface she called Burrow Grotesque, inspired by the old hand-painted signs of the market near her flat. It was, her baby.
A passion project.
Totally. She licensed it for a pretty modest fee on a small independent foundry website, dreaming it might, one day pay her rent.
The dream, right?
A year later, a friend on holiday in Tokyo sends her a photo. Her font, or something incredibly close to it, was plastered all over a global fast fashion brand's new campaign.
Oh, no.
They had apparently purchased a single desktop license for maybe $40 and were using it for a multi-million-dollar international commercial campaign.
That's a huge breach of license.
Exactly.
Yep.
But the legal fees to fight this massive corporation, astronomical, way beyond her means. She felt totally helpless watching her creation generate millions for them while she was still struggling.
That's just gut-wrenching. And sadly, not entirely uncommon.
That story really highlights the challenges, doesn't it? It's not just a sad tale. It's a peek into the often unseen legal complexities that independent designers face. It makes you wonder how an individual creator can truly protect their passion in such a vast, often unforgiving global market.
It absolutely does. Anya's situation, it underscores a crucial issue in the creative economy.
Right.
How do designers ensure their passion funds their future? Not just, a corporate giant's bottom line.
Right.
It brings us directly to the intricate legal frameworks and the evolving licensing models that govern intellectual property rights for digital typefaces. This is really the backbone of the entire industry, and misunderstanding it can be incredibly costly.
So let's break that down. Where do we start?
Well, first, let's clarify something many people mix up. We often use typeface and font interchangeably in everyday conversation, right?
Yeah, I definitely do.
But legally and technically, there's a key distinction, and it's actually pretty critical when we talk about intellectual property. A typeface is the abstract design itself. It's the visual characteristics of the letters, numbers, symbols like Times New Roman. As a design concept, it's the artistic idea.
The look and feel.
Exactly. A font, on the other hand, is a specific variation or manifestation of that typeface. Think of it like this. In the old days, a font was literally a drawer full of metal blocks.
Right, the physical type.
Of a specific typeface size and style, like, say, 12-point Baskerville Italic. That was the font.
Gotcha.
Today, a font refers to the software file, the actual computer code, like a .ttf or .otf file, that renders and displays that stylized typeface on our screens.
Ah, okay, so the typeface is the design, the font is the software that makes it show up.
Precisely. You design a typeface, but you use a font. And this distinction is paramount in legal discussions because different elements get protected under different laws.
Okay, so how are they protected? What are the main legal areas we need to know about?
When it comes to intellectual property for typefaces, we mainly look at 3 areas: copyright, trademark, and design patents. Let's start with copyright law. This is where it gets a little counterintuitive for a lot of creatives.
How so?
Typeface designs themselves, in the US at least, generally aren't protectable by copyright.
Wait, really? You can't copyright the shape of the letter A?
Broadly speaking, no. You can't copyright the artistic shape of the letter A as an original artistic work in that context. The reasoning, it's rooted in something called the useful article doctrine in U.S. copyright law.
Useful article.
Yeah. A typeface is considered a utilitarian object, a tool for communication. Its design is seen as merged with its functional purpose. So while you can copyright, say, a unique drawing of Mickey Mouse, the basic letterforms in a typeface are generally seen as too functional to qualify for artistic copyright protection based on their design alone.
Oh, okay, that's surprising. So where does the protection come in then?
Here's the crucial distinction. The computer code, the font software that generates and displays the typeface, is subject to copyright protection.
Ah, the software.
Exactly. The code is seen as an original literary work, like any other piece of software. This means that your common word processor software, or any font you download, comes with an end-user license agreement, a EULA.
Right, those long things nobody reads.
Well, precisely. But that EULA dictates exactly how you can use that specific software code. They are incredibly specific and often overlooked.
So what kind of things do they specify?
Oh, all sorts. How many computers a font can be installed on, whether it can be embedded in a PDF if it's permitted for web use, or critically for businesses, whether it can be used for commercial purposes, like a company logo or product packaging.
So hang on, if I just grab a font that came with my basic operating system or maybe some software I bought and I use it for my new business logo, I might actually be committing a copyright violation.
You absolutely could be, yes. If the EULA for that font software doesn't explicitly permit commercial use, or if it limits it in some way, like prohibiting logo usage.
Wow. That's quite a hidden trap, isn't it? It's not like the software flashes a warning.
Exactly. It's a common trap that even established businesses can fall into. Many people assume, hey, I have the font installed, I can use it for anything. But that's often not the case. EULAs frequently limit commercial applications, especially for things like logos, product branding, or large-scale marketing campaigns. Businesses often need to purchase specific business versions of software or get dedicated commercial licenses for the fonts they use.
So it's not just about having the font.
It's about having the right license for your intended use, particularly if that use is commercial or for profit. And for companies commissioning custom typefaces, it's also super important to have clear intellectual property transfer agreements.
To make sure they actually own what they paid for.
Exactly. So they truly own the design and aren't unknowingly using something that infringes on someone else's rights down the line.
Okay, so that's copyright, mainly protecting the font software. What about the other areas? You mentioned trademark.
Right, trademark law. This comes into play when a typeface is used as part of a distinctive brand logo or identity, and it functions as a source identifier.
Like the Coca-Cola script. Or Disney.
Perfect examples. Coca-Cola script, Disney's iconic typeface in their logo. Those specific typefaces, as used in those logos, are registered trademarks.
So it protects the brand identity.
Precisely. If a competitor used that same distinctive script in a similar context, it could lead to infringement claims because it would likely cause confusion about the source of the goods or services. Trademark law protects the brand identity that the typeface helps create, preventing things like dilution or consumer confusion.
Okay. And the third one was design patents. That sounds different.
It is. Design patents are less common for fonts than copyright for the software or trademark for logos, but they offer another layer. For truly innovative or ornamental designs, the unique visual appearance of a typeface can be eligible for a design patent.
Ornamental meaning purely decorative.
Sort of, yeah. It protects the unique aesthetic look, the non-functional visual characteristics. This protection lasts for 15 years from the date the patent is granted, after which the design enters the public domain.
So this might apply to really unusual stylized display fonts.
Exactly. If a font's visual characteristics are genuinely groundbreaking and ornamental, going beyond just basic letter shapes, it might qualify. But it's a higher bar to clear than copywriting the font software.
It's clear there are a lot of legal layers here. But, okay, let's get back to the money side. The question lots of aspiring designers have is, how do you actually make a living, or even, millions like the Gotham guy, from crafting these letters? What's the actual blueprint?
Right, the million-dollar question, sometimes literally. There are basically three primary revenue streams that type designers and foundries use to monetize their creations. Each has its own nuances.
Okay, what's the first one?
First, we have retail font sales. This is probably the most common model you think of. Designers sell licenses for their fonts directly to individual consumers or businesses, often through online marketplaces.
Like myfonts.com or FontString.
Exactly, those kinds of platforms. They act as intermediaries, connecting designers with buyers. Now, if a designer sells directly from their own website, they keep 100% of the revenue.
Nice.
But they're also responsible for everything: the marketing, customer support, the technical side. Through a reseller marketplace, the designer earns a royalty.
What kind of cut do the marketplaces take?
It varies hugely. It can be anywhere from, say, 10% up to maybe 70% of the selling price going to the designer, depending on the platform and the designer's agreement or exclusivity. It's often a volume game, relying on broad appeal and lots of individual sales.
Okay, so retail sales is one. What's number two?
The second major stream is OEM licenses. OEM stands for Original Equipment Manufacturer. This involves licensing typefaces to be bundled with software, hardware, or embedded in various digital products. Historically, this might have meant operating systems or maybe printer manufacturers. But today, it's a rapidly expanding market. Think about typefaces embedded in everything from smartphone interfaces and smart home devices.
Car dashboards.
Exactly. Car dashboard displays, e-readers, digital cameras, even video games. A car manufacturer might license a specific font for its infotainment system globally.
That sounds like it could be pretty lucrative.
It can be, absolutely. These deals often involve large-scale, long-term contracts for widespread distribution, potentially providing a substantial, steady income stream for the designer or foundry.
Okay, retail, OEM, what's the third one?
And the third method, often the most lucrative, is custom typeface design projects.
Ah, bespoke fonts.
Exactly. This is where designers create unique fonts tailored specifically for a client, usually for exclusive brand use. Unlike buying an off-the-shelf font, these are unique assets that really define a brand's visual voice.
How much are we talking for something like that?
The cost can vary wildly. It could be a couple of $1,000s for maybe just a basic alphabet in one weight, all the way up to six figures, hundreds of thousands for a complete family suite.
Wow.
Yeah, that would include extensive character sets for multiple languages, maybe different weights and styles, all optimized for various digital and print applications. These bespoke fonts become deeply intertwined with a brand's identity, offering unmatched distinction and control. The value is really in that exclusivity and the strategic impact.
That idea of passive income from fonts, especially from licensing like OEM or even successful retail fonts, sounds pretty dreamy, doesn't it? You design it once, and theoretically, it just keeps earning. I've seen designers on forums talking about really modest sums, though, like someone made $50 in 30 days from what they called amateur fonts. Another mentioned $700 over several years from just one font. Someone even said they made a font from their own handwriting in like 9 hours, and it had already earned them $10. So it's maybe not always a get-rich-quick scheme.
It definitely holds that allure, that passive income dream, but yeah, the reality is usually more nuanced. While the initial creation is a one-time effort, truly successful font sales are rarely just set it and forget it.
Needs more work than that.
Oh yeah. For the few outliers who reportedly make serious money, like $100K, $300 annually, that income is often the result of years of building a reputation, having a diverse portfolio, and doing consistent marketing.
Okay.
For the vast majority, it serves as a supplement to their main income. It requires significant ongoing effort, promotion, customer support, maybe updates to keep the font compatible or competitive in a really saturated market. It's often a lot more active management than truly passive income.
So it's less like owning a hit song that just plays on the radio and earns royalties, and more like managing a popular artist who needs constant promotion and new releases to stay relevant. That font hustle sounds like real work.
Absolutely. And with that work comes significant profit pitfalls. We mentioned marketplaces taking a big cut. That 20–60% can drastically reduce a designer's earnings.
Yeah, that's huge.
And while direct sales let designers keep all the profit, they then have to shoulder the entire burden of marketing, sales, customer support, which can be pretty overwhelming for a small independent studio or just one person.
And then there's the big elephant in the room: unauthorized use. Piracy. I've heard some designers kind of reluctantly advise just ignoring it unless it's a truly major company using it improperly, simply because the legal costs to actually pursue an infringement case are so prohibitively high for most independent creators. It's pretty disheartening.
It is, and it leads to a really heated debate within the industry. There's this persistent misconception, especially among people outside professional design circles, that nobody pays for commercial licenses and that piracy is just rampant and accepted.
But that's not true.
Professionals vehemently counter this. They state that legitimate businesses and professional designers always pay for licenses. They see it as a necessary cost of doing business, like stock photos or software subscriptions, and they bill it directly to their clients.
Right, it's a business expense.
Exactly. For them, using pirated fonts for client work isn't just unethical, it's a professional liability. It's a huge reputational risk.
Yeah, I remember reading one designer who put it simply, it's one of the many markers of a professional. Taking shortcuts by pirating fonts doesn't just cut corners. It undermines the entire creative ecosystem. And as we saw with Anya's story, it can be devastating for the original creator.
So, okay, if you're going to put in all that work and do it ethically, what's the secret sauce? What's the golden rule for making a typeface actually financially successful? Generally, it needs to be both distinctive and versatile.
Distinctive and versatile.
It needs to stand out as something new, unique, grab attention, offer a fresh look in a very crowded market. Yet at the same time, it needs to be broadly applicable, workable in a wide variety of projects and applications, headlines, body text, print, digital.
That sounds like a paradox, though. Usually, the more distinctive you make something, the less versatile it becomes, right? If you design something super quirky and niche, it might not work for, say, a bank's annual report. How do designers square that circle?
That is the core challenge. Designers often navigate this by developing font families, rather than just single standalone fonts.
Ah, okay. So multiple related fonts.
Right. A family might include a highly distinctive display version, maybe bolder, more stylized, perfect for headlines and logos. But then it's paired with a more neutral, highly readable text version for body copy.
I see. So they work together.
Exactly. They also consider the context of use. A custom font designed for a tech company might be distinctive within that tech sector, but still highly versatile for all the different digital applications they need. It's about strategic design, really understanding client needs, and sometimes creating a whole system of typefaces that work together harmoniously, rather than relying on one single font to do everything.
That makes sense. But even if you create this amazing, distinctive and versatile font family, you still have to sell it. And you mentioned the market structure earlier.
Yeah, that's another huge factor. The font industry's distribution is incredibly concentrated among just a few big players. It creates a really unbalanced power dynamic.
Like who?
Well, Monotype is frequently cited as holding a near monopoly. They own many major foundries and key marketplaces like myfonts.com. They control a significant chunk of global font sales.
Oh, wow.
And even giants like Adobe are massive distributors wielding substantial leverage because their creative software is everywhere.
That really does sound like a David and Goliath situation for the smaller independent foundries or individual designers. Trying to negotiate terms or get fair deals must be incredibly difficult when you're up against such powerful distributors.
It is. I remember listening to a panel discussion where designers expressed feeling quite powerless in this setup. They talked about the struggle.
What did they say?
The consensus was that the only real leverage an independent designer or a small foundry has is a truly unique, highly sought-after font. Something so good, so in demand, that everyone wants it. That gives you a voice at the negotiating table.
So quality and uniqueness are key to leverage.
Absolutely. And developing your own strong brand and direct sales channels is also crucial for maintaining some independence, rather than just being, as one panelist put it, inventory on a shelf for a large distributor.
Yeah.
Another panelist even noted that even a foundry with 100 people still struggles to say no to the biggest distributors. It just shows the immense power imbalance. Smaller foundries often have to think about uniting or even joining larger companies just to gain a foothold.
So designers feel like they're often pressured into giving up more rights, maybe rights to modify the font or OEM sales rights just to get that broad distribution through the big players.
That's the feeling, yes. It puts them in an incredibly tough spot when their livelihood depends on accessing those established channels.
It really does.
It raises a fundamental question for any creative professional, really. How do you balance the attraction of immediate income and wide distribution against the long-term value of your creative independence and control of your work?
That's a tough balancing act.
It requires really careful managing financial needs, understanding your market leverage, and finding ways to keep that personal creative joy alive while also solving problems for clients or the market. As one designer aptly put it, true independence might stem from having control over what you create and what you choose not to reveal or sell, keeping that creative sandbox for yourself rather than being solely dependent on one distributor.
Okay, so we've covered the legal maze, the business hustle, the market dynamics. Now, let's pivot to something really fascinating and maybe a bit unsettling for some. The transformative influence of artificial intelligence. It seems like AI is causing designers to rethink everything.
It truly is. It's a massive shift.
Try to imagine this scenario. A man named Klaus, a master typographer, maybe late 60s, from Munich, learned his craft with lead-type hand-drawn curves, the old school way.
Deep tradition there.
To him, typography is the sacred art, precision, patience, soul, built on decades of apprenticeship. He sees these new AI font generators and just scoffs, calls them plagiarism machines, thinks they produce hollow, characterless work, no human touch.
I can picture him. Understandable perspective.
He believes a machine could never capture the subtle nuances of human artistic expression. Then, at a design conference, he stumbles upon a project by a 20-year-old student from Brazil who used an AI tool.
Okay.
The student fed the AI hundreds of images, Amazonian flora, traditional indigenous patterns focusing on organic forms, intricate details. The AI generated a typeface Klaus had never seen anything like.
Wow, what was it like?
Organic, complex, yet somehow perfectly balanced and functional. It was being used by Brazil's National Ecotourism Board, celebrated for its unique cultural voice and beauty.
That's incredible.
Klaus felt this profound chill. It wasn't that the machine had replaced the soul. It was that it had channeled a new kind of soul, an unexpected creative synthesis, something he couldn't have conceived of with his traditional methods alone.
A real moment of reckoning.
Klaus's experience, that's happening across the industry, isn't it? AI isn't just a new tool, it's this disruptive force. It democratizes creation, which is cool, but it also forces these tough questions about originality, authorship. What happens when a machine can learn decades of craft in an afternoon? It's quite the existential crisis for some, while others are just buzzing with excitement.
It truly is a paradigm shift. And interestingly, recent research commissioned by Monotype, one of the big players we mentioned, shows a surprisingly high level of optimism among designers and creatives surveyed.
Really? Optimism?
Yeah, a whopping 91% believe AI and AI tools are useful for their work in the type industry. And get this, only 21% are actually pessimistic about AI's impact. About 34% are overtly optimistic, and the rest are sort of neutral or undecided.
Wow. So much for the stereotype of creatives being inherently anti-AI, isn't it? It seems like when AI can speed up those tedious, time-consuming tasks, designers are actually pretty eager to embrace it. Makes sense, right? Who wants to spend hours on repetitive stuff if a machine can handle it?
Exactly. And the research pinpointed the most valuable applications of AI in design workflows, according to these creatives. Topping the list, both at 45%, were tools for visualizing typography in real-world scenarios.
Like seeing how a font looks on a billboard instantly.
Precisely. And tools that suggest effective font pairings. That alone can save a huge amount of time trying out different combinations.
Definitely. What else?
Speeding up routine elements of design workflows, think kerning. Outlining that was cited by 43%, and improving the discovery of new fonts also came in at 43%.
I can only imagine the time savings on something like kerning. That's the super detailed process of adjusting space between individual letter pairs, right? Like A and V.
Exactly. It's incredibly detailed, often done for hundreds, even thousands of specific pairs within a single font to get the visual harmony just right.
One typographer mentioned AI saved them 30% of their time on kerning alone. That's not just cool. That's freeing up designers to do the more creative, conceptual work instead of just those tiny repetitive adjustments.
That time saving is where AI truly shines for many designers right now. But beyond just automating existing tasks, AI font generators are evolving rapidly.
The creation tools.
Right. Tools that allow users to create or modify typefaces based on text prompts or maybe image inputs. These tools are trained on massive data sets of existing fonts, so they learn the core rules: ascender height, stroke contrast, spacing, kerning, to generate new letter forms that fit a certain style or brief.
And it seems like there are AI tools popping up for almost every need now. I saw mentions of things like simplified AI font generator for quick beginner-friendly stuff, PixArt font generator for creating custom text styles as images, maybe for social media. But the one that really caught my eye was Creative Fabrica's Font Maker.
Yeah, that one's interesting.
It's like a hybrid tool, right? It takes human-drawn letters, like your actual sketches, and turns them into a functional font. And apparently, it can even extend character sets for various languages automatically. That seems huge. Creating all those accented characters or non-Latin alphabets manually must be incredibly time-consuming.
It's massively labor-intensive and requires deep linguistic expertise. So yeah, a tool that can extrapolate a full alphabet, including all the diacritics like from just a few drawn letters, that's potentially revolutionary for multi-language support.
Definitely. And what about tools for pairing fonts?
Yeah, there's FontJoy, which specializes in finding aesthetically pleasing font pairings. Vondi Typography Generator aims to create original typefaces from scratch with customization options. And Calligrapher lets you convert your own handwriting or calligraphy into an installable font file.
So lots of creation tools.
Yeah.
But you mentioned AI helping with efficiency too.
Right, beyond pure creation, AI is being leveraged to automate things like setting character width, left-right bearing, that's the space on either side of a character, and, as we discussed, kerning in existing fonts. That's where significant time savings can happen, taking over those precise adjustments.
And it's not just about the design process itself, is it? I read that one foundry is even using AI models for marketing and communicating with trial users, handling thousands of conversations.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Using AI not just to make the font, but also to sell it and manage customer interactions. And AI handling 2,000 online conversations. That's like having a tireless support team, freeing up the designers to focus on the creative work.
Okay, so there are tons of opportunities, but what are the catches, the challenges or threats that come with this AI revolution in type?
Despite all the excitement, yes, significant challenges remain. A big one is data. Training these AI models requires massive amounts of high-quality, diverse data. Garbage in, garbage out, basically.
Right, I remember that quote. If you train AI on anything else than your own fonts, you get really shitty things. Meaning if you don't have a huge, consistent data set of your own style, the AI just averages things out and doesn't produce something truly unique or high quality in a specific vein.
Exactly. Getting truly bespoke AI assistants is difficult without extensive personal data, because generic models tend to regress to the mean. They might be good at common styles, but struggle with niche aesthetics.
What about the technical hurdles?
There are quite a few. Handling data input variability is the AI learning from raster images or clean vector outlines. That makes a difference. Consistently outputting fully functional clean font files .ttf.otf that are ready to use without glitches is still tricky. Predicting complex attributes like kerning accurately is still a major challenge. It requires such highly contextual visual judgment, and large models can easily overfit, meaning they get too good at replicating their training data and can't generalize or be created outside of it. Or they might just struggle with genuinely diverse or unusual font styles, things that don't fit neat categories.
Like trying to generate a font that looks like it's made of wooden boards or paint drizzling. Not enough examples, probably.
Precisely. And then there's the more philosophical or maybe economic concern, the Luddite perspective, if you will.
The fear of job losses.
Right. The genuine fear that these powerful AI tools, especially when wielded by big corporations with lots of capital, could lead to widespread job displacement. Could it destroy traditional livelihoods for many designers and concentrate power even further among a few tech giants? Will the industry's middle class just disappear?
That's a heavy question. And it ties into intellectual property too, right? How are these things being trained?
That's a critical point. How are these AI models being trained? Are designers' intellectual property rights being protected? Are they being compensated if their work is scraped and used as training data without permission? This is a huge legal and ethical minefield.
Yeah. What happens if an AI generates something that looks suspiciously similar to an existing protected font? Who's liable?
Exactly. These are massive questions the industry is only just starting to grapple with. The legal frameworks haven't caught up yet.
And here's a really wild thought I had. Connecting AI back to the business models we talked about earlier.
Okay.
If AI does lead to widespread layoffs in large companies, how do enterprise font licenses adapt? Those are often based on the number of human users, right?
Traditionally, yes.
Yeah.
Based on seats or company size.
So if a company drastically cuts its human workforce because of automation, but still needs fonts for its scaled-up AI-driven operations, how does the licensing work then? Do you license per AI instance? per processing power used. It could fundamentally change the economics of font licensing.
That's a fascinating and potentially disruptive question. It highlights how AI isn't just changing design. It's forcing a rethink of the entire business ecosystem around it.
So what's the bottom line on AI?
Ultimately, the biggest challenge probably isn't adapting to the technology itself. Designers are clearly finding uses for it. The real challenge is adapting to the disruption it brings. The industry will likely need to embrace AI wholeheartedly to produce more efficiently, to explore new design avenues like those complex non-Latin alphabets that are currently so expensive to develop manually, and crucially, to adapt existing business models to stay relevant. Stagnation, just ignoring it, that seems like the real threat, not the technology itself.
Okay, let's transition now. We've talked legal, business, tech. Let's talk about how typefaces, beyond all that, profoundly shape our culture, our brands, and even how we think and feel. It's amazing how much silent influence these letter forms have.
It really is. The aesthetic is just the surface.
I heard this great story about a man, a second-generation Korean-American, who opened a small, really high-end coffee shop in LA called The Daily Grind.
Okay.
He was obsessed with every detail, the beans, the cups, the atmosphere, and for his brand, he decided against using some standard, popular font that everyone else seemed to be using.
Started something unique.
Totally. He commissioned a bespoke typeface, worked with a designer for months, painstakingly creating a font that blended the clean lines and legibility of the Latin alphabet with the subtle angular grace and compositional balance of Hangul, the Korean script.
Wow, that's specific.
Yeah.
And probably expensive.
Extremely. Slow process. Friends told him he was crazy. Nobody will even notice the font.
But they did.
They did. Customers would comment on the menu, the logo, the coffee cups. They couldn't always articulate why, but they'd use words like calm, authentic, respectful, sophisticated.
Interesting.
The font became this quiet symbol of his dual identity, a visual narrative of his heritage and his unique worldview. It wasn't just letters on a cup, it was his story, visually told. And it created this powerful subconscious connection with his community, making his brand feel really unique and deeply personal in a supersaturated market.
That coffee shop owner understood something truly fundamental, didn't he? A typeface isn't just letters, it's the voice of a brand. It's a powerful piece of visual language that tells a story and creates a deep connection. He was communicating his values without saying a word.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. Typefaces are far more than just aesthetics. They are powerful pieces of visual language IP. They define eras, shape societal narratives. They imbue text with subtle emotional cues, influencing how we interpret and connect with what we read and how we perceive the message or the brand behind it.
You really do see it everywhere once you start looking. Apple has its custom sans serif minimalism, right? Instantly recognizable.
San Francisco, no.
Supreme owns Helvetica Bold. That Obama campaign became synonymous with Gotham. These aren't just random design choices. They become cultural touchstones. They instantly evoke a specific feeling or identity.
Or think about those classic Wild West slab serif fonts. They immediately transport you to a dusty frontier town. Elegant script fonts scream luxury wedding invitation. The font itself tells a story.
So they carry these subtle emotional cues.
Incredibly subtle yet powerful ones. The rounded curves and informal strokes of, say, Comic Sans, Love It or Hate It, evoke a casual, lighthearted, almost childlike feeling.
Right. Definitely not for a corporate report.
Usually not. In contrast, a robust geometric sans serif like Helvetica often comes across as professional, authoritative, efficient. A delicate, high-contrast serif like Bodoni might feel elegant and luxurious. A monospace font could convey technical precision like coding. These subtle differences are baked into the design and powerfully influence our subconscious reactions.
It really is like a secret language we all kind of understand without realizing it. Luxury brands pick those elegant serifs like Garamond for sophistication. Tech startups go for sleek sans serifs like Roboto to look modern and approachable. You get the vibe before you even read the words.
And the psychology goes deeper. Research actually shows fonts affect how we interpret information itself.
How so?
Well, information presented in harder-to-read fonts is often perceived as more challenging or complex, sometimes even more credible, strangely enough, as if the effort required to read it implies deeper meaning.
Interesting.
Conversely, simpler, highly legible fonts foster ease and clarity. This can lead to higher comprehension and a perception that the information is straightforward and easy to grasp. So matching the font choice to the purpose and the desired tone is critical.
So yeah, if you're trying to explain quantum physics, maybe don't use a super decorative swirly font unless you want everyone tuning out immediately. You'd be signaling this is going to be tough, maybe frivolous.
Exactly. But on the flip side, maybe a slightly less legible font could be used deliberately to slow the reader down, encourage deeper engagement with, say, complex philosophical texts. It's all about intent. Typefaces also contribute profoundly to storytelling in literature. A Gothic horror story set in the 19th century feels more immersive with a classic serif like Baskerville, or maybe an old black letter style. A sci-fi novel might use a clean, futuristic sans serif. A well-chosen font transforms the work from just written words to something truly felt.
It really sets the stage. So what's happening now? What are the big typography trends we're seeing, say, looking towards 2025?
It's a dynamic mix, actually, reflecting both tech changes and aesthetic shifts. One big one is a noticeable return of the serif.
Serifs are back.
Yeah, it's not just nostalgia. It's seen as a strategic pushback against that long dominance of minimalist sans serifs. Brands are exploring minimal yet impactful customized serifs that blend classic elegance with modern touches. Think Peroni's bespoke slab serif. It feels both traditional and contemporary. It adds warmth and character that sans serifs sometimes lack.
So related to that, is there a pushback against everything looking the same?
Absolutely. That's the next trend. Pushback against sans serif homogenization. Designers are tired of blanding that trend, where so many brand logos became oversimplified. Geometric sans serifs that started to look indistinguishable.
Yeah, the sea of sameness.
Exactly. There's a growing desire for individuality, craftsmanship, personality over that kind of uniformity.
Yeah.
This means we're seeing more experimental, characterful, and unique typography emerging.
Okay, what else? You mentioned tech.
Definitely the rise of variable fonts. These are incredibly exciting. They represent a real revolution in font technology.
How do they work again?
Instead of needing separate font files for different weights, light, bold, widths, condensed, extended, or slants, italic, variable fonts let designers dynamically adjust along a continuous spectrum of design axes all within one single smaller file.
So not just bold or light, but a slider.
Exactly. A slider that smoothly transitions from ultra-thin to super heavy or from narrow to wide. Some even control things like contrast, serif size, or the roundness of letters. It gives designers unprecedented creative control. Think subtle animation, responsive typography that adapts perfectly to different screen sizes, or highly customized brand expressions that were impossible before without juggling multiple heavy font files.
That sounds like a game changer for designers. No more picking between just 3 weights. You can fine-tune everything. Though I guess some variable fonts might try to do too much and end up a bit generic.
That's a valid point, and it leads to another trend, ultra-versatile fonts. These are the Swiss Army knife fonts that try to do everything. They act as workhorses. But yeah, sometimes this comes at the cost of distinctiveness. They can feel a bit bland on their own.
So what's the solution?
The more sophisticated approach emerging is to pair these versatile workhorse fonts with bolder, highly expressive display typefaces. This adds necessary contrast, character, and soul, creating a dynamic visual hierarchy.
Makes sense. What about retro stuff? Is that still around?
Oh yeah, we're seeing neo-retro and DIY approaches. There's this growing fascination with reviving distressed ink textures from the 50s or those nostalgic, chunky digital fonts from the 90s, even embracing the awkward charm of early digital tools like Microsoft Word Art.
Word art? Really?
Believe it or not. It reflects a desire for authenticity, imperfection, a sense of attitude in our polished digital world. It gives designs a handcrafted feel or a playful, low-res aesthetic that stands out.
Interesting. Anything else technical?
Yes, a technical comeback. The resurgence of optical sizes. This is really important for legibility.
Optical sizes.
In the old metal type days, each font size 6.12.72 point was manually cut slightly differently to optimize how it looked and read at that specific scale. Tiny text needed slightly wider spacing, maybe thicker strokes, not blurred together.
Yeah.
Big headlines needed tighter spacing, finer details to look elegant.
Oh!
With early digital fonts, that nuance was often lost. You get one design scaled up or down, sometimes looking terrible at extreme sizes. Now, technology, especially with variable fonts, is bringing that precision back. Fonts can automatically adjust spacing, stroke weights, even small design details to ensure they work optimally across all sizes, from a tiny smartwatch UI to a massive billboard.
That's incredibly useful.
All these trends, though, really converge on one critical point for brands. Custom type is major.
Because it offers distinction.
Exactly. Custom typography is a huge trend for brands seeking greater distinction and true ownership of their visual identity. It lets the typography become deeply intertwined with the brand's story, making the letters themselves a unique proprietary asset.
Like our coffee shop owner again. His bespoke font was his story, visually. It made his brand feel authentic and personal in a way a standard font just couldn't.
Precisely. It builds that unique language. Brands are increasingly moving towards owning maybe just a single, well-designed variable typeface. This ensures amazing consistency across all their diverse digital channels and devices, while still allowing for really evocative motion graphics or interactive experiences. It gives them both uniformity and flexibility.
So the font becomes a core asset, adaptable but always recognizable.
Right. It's about finding that delicate balance between innovation and readability, personality and functionality. The font itself becomes a powerful brand narrative, speaking volumes, and arguably it's one of the most cost-effective ways for a brand to establish a truly unique identity in the long run.
But, okay, for the designers creating these fonts, whether custom or for retail, having a great font isn't the end of the story, is it? You mentioned promotion earlier.
Absolutely not. Promotion is key. In a market with literally hundreds of thousands of fonts available online, just uploading your design and hoping for the best, that's not going to work. It's like being a brilliant painter who hides their art in the attic.
Right. You can't just upload and wait for the cash to roll in. What do designers need to do?
You need to create compelling showcase images. Show how your fonts actually perform in real-world situations, make them look great as headlines, elegant as body copy, distinctive as logos. You need to show potential buyers how your font solves their design problems. Offering downloadable PDF specimens is also crucial. These should provide comprehensive background, show the complete character set, list language support, detail any special open type features. And using meta tags and keywords effectively is vital so people can actually find your designs through search engines and marketplace filters.
Make it discoverable.
Exactly. And consistency helps too. The most frequently visited pages on font distributor sites are often the What's New or New Releases sections. So consistently releasing new designs or even just updating existing ones with more weights or better language support helps designers stay visible in a very saturated, constantly evolving market. It's a continuous cycle. Create, refine, promote.
It really is a testament to the fact that creativity needs application, doesn't it? It's not just the artistry, it's the grinding work of perfecting details, mastering the tools, and yeah, that often underestimated effort of actually getting noticed. The art is only half the battle. The business of getting it out there, licensed and used, is the other equally challenging half. So what began with that single font, Gotham, defining a presidential campaign, has taken us on quite a ride. Through intricate legal frameworks, the entrepreneurial hustle of designers, a thrilling, sometimes chaotic world of AI creation, and the really profound impact typefaces have on our brands and how we perceive things.
We've seen how a few carefully crafted curves and lines can quietly build fortunes, shape cultural narratives, and even challenge our very definition of creativity and authorship in this age of intelligent machines. It's far more complex and influential than most people probably realize when they just glance at text on a page or screen.
From the microscopic details, like kerning those tiny spaces between letters, to the macro impact on global brands and even political eras, typefaces are truly the unsung heroes of visual communication. They're not just letters, are they? They're like little pieces of powerful magic, constantly evolving, always working their silent influence to convey meaning, emotion, and identity.
And as our digital world keeps spinning, becoming ever more visual, more interconnected, the secret life of fonts is only going to get more interesting, I think. More complex and, dare I say, maybe even more lucrative for those who really understand and dare to master its blueprint.
Thanks for diving deep with us into this fascinating world of typography. We really hope you'll never look at a font the same way again.